And then in the times of Gosayinji, the seva shifted to Pushti Marg. Some strange story, right? Which the Gaudiyas were very annoyed with, I must say, actually.
I never heard this story.
Really, it's actually a funny story. But anyway, it's unusual. So the story...
Where they decided to do it separate.
What it was, according to our literature, who knows true or false, that the Bengalis, and who knows who they were then, they started to worship a Devi in the temple, as opposed to Srinaji. Srinaji says, what is this? Worshipping Devi in front of me? Radha Krishna? You're worshipping something else? So Krishnadas, so Srinaji told the Krishnadas, who was in charge of the temple, he says, move them out. They are not worshipping me anymore. So then Krishnadas moved them out and established Vallabhacharya followers. And the Goswamis were not happy with this. And they went to Akbar. And Akbar said, sorry, I side with Vallabhacharya. So, whatever the story is, who knows. So that created a rift, actually, between the Gaudiya. Pushti Marg is always Pushti Marg writes very nice about Gaudiya. We have no negative, only positive. Much respect for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There was some negativity towards Vallabhacharya from that time in the writings. But anyway, that's an insignificant issue. The real story is that the story here is that Gosayinji, and this is where all of the great poets sang, Surdas and Kumandas and Paramadvaiti, and they sang in this temple. And there are, I have written probably 2,000 pages on this, on what happened here. So one interesting story is that Surdas, one story was that Kumandas had two sons, and he was one of the great Astachap poets. And his first son was Chetrabhuj Das, and his second son was Krishna Das. And Krishna Das used to herd Srinaji's cows. So one day, while he was herding Srinaji's cows, a lion came and killed him. So the news came back to Kumandas, his father. Someone said, your son has been killed by a lion. And Kumandas fell on the ground and fainted. Everyone said, my God, look at the suffering he has. I guess it's only proper. His son was just killed by a lion. And Vitalaji Gosayinji says, you don't understand. He's not sad about his son. He's sad that he can't enter the temple for 12 days now because of the period of Sutak, right? Because when someone dies, you can't enter the temple. So he's upset because he can't see Srinaji. He said, don't worry, Kumandas. You can still see Srinaji. I'll make a special arrangement for you. And then Kumandas stood right up. It was fine. Another time, Kumandas was called, because Kumandas sang here, and he was called to the court of Akbar. And and a messenger came and said, you must visit Akbar. He says, I'm not going. He said, if you don't go, he will kill me. He says, okay, I will go. Please sit in the chariot. He says, I walk. I don't take your horse, I don't take your elephant, I walk. He walks all the way from here to Fatehpur Sikri, outside of Agra. And he goes in front of Akbar. And Akbar says, sing something. He says, by coming here, I wore out my sandals. And then I have to bow to you, a face that I don't even like to see. This whole place seems to me totally false. So Akbar could have had him killed. Akbar said, wow, very powerful man. What is it that you want? Take anything from me. Villages, money, women, horses. He says, yes, I want one thing. He says, I will give you anything you want. He says, never call me here again. So then he comes back here, and he's playing with Srinaji. Srinaji's with him, because he saw Krishna. They used to play together. And Akbar sends one of his kings, Birbal, to give him a present. And when Birbal comes to give him the present, Krishna disappears. So Kumandas is looking around for Krishna, and this king is there. He says, who are you? He says, I am the king, and I am bringing this priceless mirror for you. Studded jewels and diamonds and emeralds, and it's a gift to you. He looks at it, he says, I have one that's better than this. Right? And he calls his niece. He says, bring over that pail of water, which we use for the cow. So he brings over a pail of water, and he looks into the water when the water stills, and he makes his tilak. He says, that's my mirror, is the water. He says, what am I going to do with this? It's gold and diamonds. People will want to steal it. I live in a thatched hut. I don't have a lock on my door. He says, take this out of here. No, I won't. I do not accept. He says, well, I will give you villages. He says, what do you think I am, a Brahmin? He says, I don't want anything. He says, well, I'll give you animals, I'll give you fields, anything you want. He says, no interest. He says, how about this? I pay your grocer for the rest of your life. I'll pay all of your bills. Whatever bill you have, I will pay it. Kunda says, that one I like. He says, I'll let you pay all of my bills. He says, okay, tell me the name of your grocers. He says, my first grocer is that field over there. That's where I get all of my wheat. My second grocer is that tree over there where I get all my berries. My third grocer is that field of vegetables. Pay them whatever you want. Right? So he says, I have truly seen a great soul today. And the amount of poetry which was sung up here and the kirtan up here is for that we have to go down and I'll sing a song which was sung up here. Okay?
Unlimited. 500 years of continuous kirtan.
500, but the stories of Vittalnaji are not known well, especially to Westerners. I mean, I'm the first person who has translated them. It's a very interesting tradition. So, rich in Sanskrit literature and Braj Bhasha. Braj as an area is Pushti Marg. The people are Pushti Marg here. Nandagam, Varsana, Kamvan. Not the sadhus. The sadhus were either Gaudiya or Nimbarka. But the local people, they preferred Vallabhacharya because Vallabhacharya was a householder. So even today, most of the villages remain more in Pushti Marg. Now it's changing because it's modern age. So
it's the distinguished tilak of Braj is the Pushti Marg.
Pushti Marg, yeah. I mean, it was just the way that and the Leela was. So that a lot of the literature.
Pushti Marg was Braj people.
Braj people
who didn't come like Bengalis from another place.
That's right. That's right. It was local.
Yeah.
The local form of Vaishnavism was not totally, but largely Pushti Marg, and the Vaishnav tradition amongst sadhus and Babajis was mostly Gaudiya and Nimbarka. Because Pushti Marg didn't have as many sadhus. It had some sadhus, but less. And it didn't have any sannyas tradition. I mean, Gaudiya didn't have sannyas tradition either. After Chaitanya, there was one sannyas, Chaitanya. And then there was no sannyas until Gaudiya Mutt at the 20th century. Anyway, so that's kind of the history of it.
But the Pushti Marg is Babaji?
Some.
Well, Babaji is the sannyas form.
So, yeah, I mean, the actual formal sannyas.
Yeah, the form.
Yeah. Vallabhacharya took sannyas. Vallabhacharya took sannyas, but no one took sannyas after that.
No?
Not one sannyas.
He took sannyas.
He took sannyas for 5 days.
Before he left the world.
Yeah, a week. And he was silent and he didn't eat anything. Because he was an acharya. And acharyas have to go through the 4 ashrams. Because, he follows Bhagavat. So, anyway. But all of that is, what's this? It's all one. For me, I look at all the sampradayas as one. I have more friends in probably Gaudiya than I do in Pushti Marg. At least in Nimbarka. I have a lot of friends in Nimbarka. You see, there's a guy, Pushti Marg Babaji.